I think we're all selfish in a way, and I feel like the people that do not actively think about climate change, it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't care enough to like make a big like change in their lives.
We all want the same things. I mean, this is the nature of it. And maybe that's not selfish. Maybe that's just basic sociology. Now I'm confused, right? I have a moment. I gotta stop again, and I gotta say like, wait, is it newspaper or paper? No, it's not newspaper, it's paper. And then there it is, I put it in. Now I've taken 20 seconds out of my life to do that. And then I look at the paper one, and there's a plastic cup in there.
Like the average daily person isn't gonna burn enough coal to cause global warming. That's not the person we should be worrying about. We should be trying to get the fossil fuel companies to like try and change. It's not the average person.
Okay, so you're saying what Ludi said earlier about individuals matter less than big system change.
Well, individuals do matter. Just doing what you can is enough. If you need to survive the winter with coal, then you survive the winter with coal. But if you can cut back in other little ways, like Jay with the Brita filter instead of like using like a plastic single-use water bottle.
To be quite honest, I'm gonna keep living my life the way I live it now.
Mm-hmm.
And if shit happens, it happens.
Okay, that's fair. Do you know what the official stance is of the Chinese government on climate change? These are students, okay? And what they're talking about here is not truth, but their beliefs. So you don't have to go all hog on the chat and stuff about like, oh my God, this person's so whatever. They're talking their beliefs and their thoughts about these things, okay? The fear, like how does your generation, how do you deal with the anxiety of it? The system is in place. It's just like a big hamster wheel. It's just spinning and spinning and spinning. You know, we got to fix poverty, and we have to build new houses, and we have to build new buildings, and we have to do all these things. And everybody wants a car, and everybody wants. We need more batteries. Meaning that we have to just spin the economy faster and faster and faster. Because if we don't, y'all aren't going to have jobs, you're not going to have things, so we got to spin and spin and spin and get that thing humming, meaning that we're just going to produce more and more CO2.
I think we're all selfish in a way, and I feel like the people that do not actively think about climate change, it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't care enough to like make a big like change in their lives. Like I can say, yeah, I care about climate change. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to take a plane to Colombia when I have a chance, you know. Doesn't mean I'm not going to drive to college, supposedly I taking the bus. So I think we're all like selfish. We all say like, oh yeah, I want to take an active like measure on this, but nobody wants to change the way they live for that to happen. So some people just like know to like say that they care actually.
Do you think nobody wants to change the way they live?
I feel like people do want to change the way they live. It's just not fully, like, it's for selfish reasons. It's not fully efficient towards their lifestyle to want to change the way that they live. Like, they could try to do like little things like, yeah, I could separate my trash. I could like completely like bring my own bags from home instead of bringing back like plastic bags from the grocery store and things like that. I feel like those little things make people feel like they're making a difference, but in like a global scheme, it's just very, very minuscule.
Yeah, so like when you're at Way Fruit Farm and you can put people's fruits in a paper bag rather than a plastic bag, and you feel just a little bit good, okay, that's good. You know what I mean, this kind of thing. So here's the thing, what if it wasn't selfishness? What if you really, all people are doing are trying to live their lives according to the way we've been shown to live our lives. And we're trying to live it according to other people around us. We're just living. You know, y'all, you want to get your degree, then you want to get a job, and you know, you want to have a space, and you want to most of you want to travel a little bit, you want to see things, you want to have a space of your own, you want to get some furniture, and you know, you want to get some new furniture, and you want this, and you want that, and we all want the same things. I mean, this is the nature of it. And maybe that's not selfish. Maybe that's just basic sociology. It's just like we are products of life around us. So, you know, maybe it's just not selfish at all. And maybe that keeps us from seeing something. Right? Bro, can you, maybe it's not selfish at all. Can you like just say something on that? Maybe you're just being human.
Yes, right. We're all being human. I do believe that. But as I say, like, I'm not willing to change like the things I do at the moment.
Well, but hang on. But why should you though? Why should you change?
Because if I call myself an advocate for like climate change initiatives, I should be the one putting myself in the front line and say, okay, I'm gonna make a change in my life. But I'm not, like.
But maybe, but let me ask you this question. When you look out over here, right, and if you knew, let's just say recycling. Let's take recycling for a second here. You got all these recycling containers out there, and then you have something that you got to figure out if it's going to go in the recycling, which one it's going to go in. I leave the classroom and I've got this piece of paper, and I got to decide, like, I got to just take a couple minutes to look down and be like, okay, which one says paper? And then, this one says paper, this one says newspaper. Now I'm confused, right? I have a moment. I got to stop again, and I got to say, like, wait, is it newspaper or paper? No, it's not newspaper, it's paper. And then there it is, I put it in. Now I've taken 20 seconds out of my life to do that. And then I look at the paper one, and there's a plastic cup in there, and there's a tin can in there because somebody else came along and just threw it in, like maybe before I did the same thing. And then I say, what's the purpose? Why am I bothering with this? Because it's not happening. But what if you knew, Sebastian, what if you knew every time you left, every time you passed recycling containers, you saw people who were standing in front of them trying to figure out, like, okay, hang on, which one goes and where, and if someone made a mistake, they take it out of this one, they put it there. And everyone was really doing that. You'd probably do the same thing. Because we're sheep, we follow other people. That's what we do. We follow we do. What do you think about that?
People do it when they see that there's definitely pressure on doing the right thing when everybody's watching you. That doesn't mean that if I go to like the trash bins and I don't see like the ideal one, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna put it in my pocket and like just wait until I find like correct disposal for it. I'm just gonna throw it at the most accurate one.
But I'm saying, if you knew everybody else was doing that, you would do it.
Oh, of course.
I mean, if you knew, for example, let me say, if you get a chance to fly down to Colombia, where is your family from in Colombia?
Where? Cali.
In Cali? So if you had a chance to fly down to Cali, and you're going to take it every chance you get, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, here's a free ticket, bro. Why don't you come down to Cali with me? You and I will go down. We'll do whatever. You're like, yeah, all right, I'll go down to Cali. But you could say, but you know what? That's not really good. It's just more CO2 in the air. I'm not going to fly. But you have no motivation to do that because everybody else is going to do the same thing. So why are you not going to do it? Mm-hmm. But what if you knew that, listen, in the next decade, I have X number of air miles that I can use. And everybody does. Every single human being on the planet has a certain number of air miles, and we're all going to follow the same thing. And for whatever reason, of course, this would never work in the United States, because we want our freedom to do whatever we want to do. But nonetheless, if you knew that, I would imagine it'd be a lot easier to just sort of follow along because everybody else is doing it, so you're going to do what everybody else does. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
It is true. If everybody did it, like, it would be easier. But I think that we're most driven towards like the most like economical options in a lot of cases. So just an example, I think in Switzerland they do have like a very intense like recycling program. In the way that they actually have to pay for the trash to be disposed. Mm-hmm, so they actually like they get the little tea bag and they separate the little metal part of it and they put in the metal thing. Yeah. And all that because it costs them. People don't make a change in their lives unless there's a direct impact in their pocket.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons maybe is this is, by the way, my sociology student here. One of the things in sociology, we call it the free rider problem. If we don't see other people doing it, we'll just let other people make the change that's uncomfortable, and then we don't have to do it. So you have to set up situations where being a free rider, meaning like not having to sacrifice, is a good thing. Did you have we have a question? Do you have a question, Mo?
I just want to push back on the discussion and discuss preservation as a privilege, because everyone here is affluent or at least sufficient enough to even fancy the idea of conservation. But there's so many people out there who their lifestyle, the best they can do is horrible to the economy. They're still using coal as their, not economy, the ecology. They're using coals and everything like that. And a lot of those people we don't really discuss about because, well, they really don't have any options. And I wanted to hear from the perspective of the people who we are, rich enough to talk about these kind of matters, how you guys view that issue.
How do you think about that?
So the problem isn't with the average everyday person. The bigger issue is with the corporations that funnel money into the government that keep this stuff legal. Like, the average daily person isn't going to burn enough coal to cause global warming. That's not the person we should be worrying about. We should be trying to get the fossil fuel companies to try and change. It's not the average person.
Okay, so you're saying what Ludi said earlier about individuals matter less than big system change.
While individuals do matter, just doing what you can is enough. If you need to survive the winter with coal, then you survive the winter with coal. But if you can cut back in other little ways, like Jay with the Brita filter, instead of using a plastic single-use water bottle.
So this would be a question I would have if I were watching this conversation. How many people around you are doing things like using bottles like this of water because they're really trying to preserve the planet?
Every day in my household, we all have our own hydro flasks, and in my household we have the attachment on the fridge that gives us water, so we don't have to use water bottles pretty much. So it's pretty consistent every day. Okay.
And how about Rachna? How about in your household in Malaysia or people around you in Malaysia? How much are people to what degree do you see individuals making steps because of environmental issues?
At least in my household, we each have our own versions of hydro flasks, essentially. We have our own bottles and we fill up, and our water in the house is filtered, so we just fill it up in the house as opposed to buying plastic bottles, single-use ones, as she said. But
how about other things?
I do feel like single-use plastic is very, very big there, in terms of if you were to go to a hawker stall to get your meals, if you want your drinks and you want to take it to go, it's given in this little plastic bag with a straw, and that's all plastic, and then that just gets thrown in the trash. I want to say that we are trying to make a change, but it's it's not easy for people to change a habit that they have become used to doing. It's okay, I do this and I know I'm just going to throw this. I don't want to spend an extra 10 minutes looking for a recycling bin and then have to sort it out and then throw it into the trash.
What would it take for you to do that? To really go, because Sebastian was saying, hey, I'm going to do the things that I can do. I mean, because I'm built like that. How about for you? What would it take for you to really step outside of your everyday kind of life? And
here's the thing, in my house at home, we sort out our trash in terms of separating it based on cardboard, plastic, and whatnot. But then if you're out and about in a mall or things like that, you don't have recycling bins just there. You just have a big trash can every couple feet, and you're all right.
And when you put something in one of those trash cans that doesn't belong there, it's not gonna get recycled, and you put it in because you just have to. Don't be all politically correct here, because just what are you thinking in that moment?
Well, sometimes, not often, quite rarely, I'm not gonna lie, there's maybe a little bit of guilt. I'm I could be throwing this in another trash can, but then otherwise I'm just this is just for convenience sake. If I'm out with my friends, I just I finish drinking a soda or something, I'm just gonna toss it in the trash and then keep going. I'm not gonna be wait guys, I have to find a recycling bin.
Just so you know, The problem isn't that the temperatures just sort of slowly keep rising and the system just slowly changes. Change happens, there's this ways in which it's often punctuated. The systems, they slowly start to get out of whack and then suddenly something just tips. It's called the tipping point, and then it really gets out of whack. And then it finds another place of equilibrium or stasis or so on, and then it slowly starts to change, and then it really changes, and the concern is that this whole climate thing, at some point, we're just going to cross over a line, and then it's just going to start to spiral, and it's just one of those mierderos, bro. It's a mierdero. How is that for someone who's 19? You're 19? You're 20? How is that for you?
My dream is to live on a farm.
Okay.
So when I think of it in terms of that, I'm like, will I ever get that if we keep going the way that we are going? Will I be able to live a sustainable life, a self-sustainable life, if our soils are polluted, or if, my crops won't grow in season?
And so how is that?
Makes you almost not want to bring kids into this world.
No, hang on. Not me, for you. How is that for you?
To be quite honest, I'm going to keep living my life the way I live it now.
Mm-hmm.
And if shit happens, it happens.
Okay, that's fair. How much responsibility for climate change do you think rests with industry and corporations rather than consumers?
We're the consumers. We're the ones buying the product. Doesn't matter if you say you're gonna change the way you live. A lot of the things that we do that have a direct impact on our climate. You said I eat organic or all that, but that those avocados are coming from California, being shipped from California, or bananas. If you go to Walmart, they're being shipped from Costa Rica. Why we keep buying these things from these big corporations, they're gonna keep it consistent. They're gonna keep increasing the production and all of that. So it's a whole chicken and egg situation. You keep buying the things from the companies. Yeah. They're gonna keep producing it for the consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the company are more responsible than individuals, because just like you said, individuals just do their own lives. They live on their own lives. They use plastic bags just because the store just have plastic bags. Or if the company stop producing plastic bags, they produce paper bags. People will all use paper bags. In China, we are using paper straws for milk tea and for Starbucks, and that's
you use that. In Korea, that's really widespread, and in China, it's really widespread, and here it's picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do that.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay. Do you know what the official stance is, of the Chinese government on climate change?
I don't know, but I think they realize it's a big problem. Because they're using paper straws, and I know for Shanghai, they also sort their trash.
Yeah.
And they have punishment for if people don't do that.
Well, you have punishments if people don't sort their trash?
Yeah.
Oh, Penn State doesn't have that. There you go. That's what we need. We need Penn State to start punishing people for not recycling, sorting. All right. Hey, listen, man. So, thanks for the conversation. I think it's fascinating for me to hear what you all are thinking. Yeah.